going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. And as you guys can tell from the thumbnail and the title, I am joined in this video by Cinematic Tendency. It's the first time we were collabing here on my channel. Really love having you here on this video, man. When I asked him to do this, he was totally down. And I always appreciate when anybody's just down to watch a movie. So yeah, we're going to hear from him in just one bit, but a big thanks for him for being in this video. And you guys can find the link to his channel in the description box down below. So Friday the 13th, The New Blood. It's a Friday the 13th movie. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and say it right now. This is a movie that for me on an overall level is okay. I'm not crazy about this one. It's one of the more forgettable ones as far as a lot of the kills and a lot of things that happen. Now, that's not in any way, shape, or form to say that there isn't some really good kills. At this point, about 7 movies into the franchise, you know, a lot of the special effects haven't gotten pretty solid. There are some really good kills in here. There are some classic, pretty traditional and generic Jason kills in here, but there are some solid kills. There's a lot about this movie that I do enjoy, and there's a lot of little moments when it comes to Jason that I do enjoy in this film. But the overall premise and idea of this film is definitely got to be one of the most unique, weird, and also just always makes me feel like, what the hell were they thinking? At the end of the last film, Jason Lives, one of the more iconic moments in, I think, the whole of Jason's story is that moment, or just that shot of him underwater, dangling from the bottom of the water with a chain around his neck. He's been hung underwater, he's been drowned, and they kill him with the boat and yada yada yada. So his body is just hanging there. So that's probably one of the more iconic moments, at least I think, when it comes to Jason, just imagery wise. And in this movie, he's resurrected by a young girl with superpowers. Yeah, superpowers. This is a film that literally introduces a human being with superpowers. Now, of course, this is also a franchise about a supernatural hockey mask wearing killer that always wields a machete and becomes sillier and sillier with each installment. But yeah, this is a movie that actually introduced superpowers. So at the beginning of this movie, we're introduced to a young girl, and yeah, she's running away from her family after her dad's essentially being a huge abusive asshole to his wife. She runs out onto the lake, of course, Camp Crystal Lake. Of course, it's just crazy to me that people are still there. It's crazy to me that after everything that's happening, people still go there. I just don't get it. But either way, she goes out on a boat and the dad's trying to call her back. She's like, oh, come back, you know, I'm sorry for being the way I am, yada, yada, yada. And he's calling out to her. She's out on the boat. She's like freaking out. She's upset. And via her anger, she uses some mind powers to collapse the bridge that the dad is on. And now the dad has fallen into the water. He dies. The mom's like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? And in the midst of her doing this, she resurrected Jason. We end up cutting way later to the future. And now we have this really awkward main character who is this girl who's kind of disconnected from society. She's kind of disconnected from people. Her mom has kind of purposely kept her disconnected from people and other people her age. So she's very awkward. She's very shy and timid, and she doesn't really know how to get through social situations. And yeah, she has these powers that she can't really control. She's working with this guy who's supposed to be like her, I don't know, mentor, or I guess like therapist, who's supposed to help her with these situations. He's kind of trying to pull these powers out of her so she can kind of see what she's able to do. And he's kind of a sleazeball. He's trying to kind of get with her in a way. And yeah, you know, this is a movie in the franchise that almost is not referenced in any way, shape, or form after this. Most of these movies don't really reference the sequel or the last one or anything anytime, really. They just kind of keep moving forward from wherever Jason was the last time, sometimes. And in this case, yeah, you know, we have that iconic shot of him under the water, and this girl brings him back to life, and that's pretty much where this movie takes off. I have to really commend the creative team behind this movie for just wanting to throw something in there like a girl with superpowers, but I just wish that they would have made her a lot more, I don't know, enticing, engaging, a lot more of a fun character. She's just a character that has these superpowers that she has no idea how to control. You know, we've seen this kind of thing before, the character who doesn't really know how to control their superpowers, and now when they get really upset or really flustered, the powers come out, ends up hurting somebody or doing something like resurrecting Jason that makes no sense whatsoever. They really never really explain how her powers are able to resurrect Jason. It really doesn't make sense, you know. She just kind of is like rumbling the water and rumbling everything around her via her mind, and he just comes back to life. But, you know, this is also the Friday the 13th franchise, so I can't really take it that seriously. But yeah, on an overall level, what works on this film? I enjoy the cinematography. I feel like each of one of these installments, in a lot of ways, the visuals get better. There are some solid kills in here. There's nothing that I feel is as memorable as some of the previous films. There are some solid kills in here, though. That's definitely not something I'm going to take away from this movie. But on an overall level, outside of just the fact that it looks pretty cool at times, and there's definitely some great moments with Jason, and Jason looks cool. I think the makeup and the outfit and everything, the costume design around Jason, it just gets better with each of the films. Maybe not with Jason X, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, on an overall level, I really do enjoy parts of this movie, but on an overall level, I can't help but just kind of feel like it's a forgettable installment in the franchise. Now, before I give you my final thoughts on this movie, let's go ahead and hear what Cinematic Tendency had to say about this.
Hey everyone, it's so good to be here with you today. So Anthony, thank you so much for the opportunity. And today we are talking about Friday the 13th, Part 7. Part 7, wow. The New Blood. And this movie was released in 1988 and it was directed by John Carl Buechler, who passed away last year due to prostate cancer. So the story continues after Part 6, but at the same time, we could say that Part 7 is its own movie, sort of. I mean, at the beginning of the story, we get some scenes that pretty much summarizes everything that Jason Voorhees is all about. So I think it's pretty safe to watch it if you haven't seen any of the prequels. So the story emphasizes on Tina, who is a young girl who has superpowers. In this case, she has telekinesis. Tina, years ago, she killed her own father by accident with her superpowers right there at Camp Crystal Lake. And years later, Tina goes back to Crystal Lake and without meaning and without knowing, with her superpowers, she brings Jason back and the carnage begins. And the movie is okay at best. I mean, it keeps the same pattern than most slasher films. For instance, it has forgettable characters and it lacks strong character development, and some of the performances have cringy moments. And before I forget, the movie has a throwback line from Terminator, which came out 4 years prior. And I am talking about "I'll be back." And I would like to make a little bit of emphasis on something that is different or interesting, at least from my point of view. What am I talking about? I am talking about Jason finally finding his match, a young woman who is able to stand against him. So in a kind of way, we could say that Friday the 13th, The New Blood, is kinda the slasher version of James Cameron's Aliens, except that Aliens is a great movie. Okay, I am pushing it a little, but I think you get my point. Aliens, mothership, science fiction. What's next? Jason goes to space? Overall, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, is an okay movie at best. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it only, and if only you have time to kill. And once again, thank you so much for having me, and I hope to see you again soon. And until then, bye-bye. And cut. All right. Yeah. You can shut it off. I mean, well, don't worry about it. I'll do it. I can always edit it out. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, somebody's calling me. Hold on. Oh, it's Anthony. Hey, Anthony, what's up, dude? How you doing? Hey, dude. Again, thank you for having me, dude. It was great. I liked it. What? You find familiar with what? Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, I am familiar with copyrights and stuff like that. Yeah. What? The bye-bye was copyrighted? No, I didn't know, dude. My bad, I didn't know. What? You wanna sue me for how much? $1 million?
A big thanks to Cinematic Tendency for being in this video. Like I mentioned, this is the first time we're collabing here on my channel, so hopefully this will be the first of many. I really appreciated hearing your thoughts, man, and really appreciated you being down to do this. So yeah, guys, please go to the description box down below, give him some love. He's a really, really great YouTuber. He has so many things going on. He has the craziest collection of figurines and statues. If you go into his channel and watch any of his videos, right behind him, he has just the hugest display of figurines of characters from animes, live action movies, old movies, animated movies. He's got so many different things around him, and he's just got so much to just look at. Whenever I watch one of his videos, I'm always just kind of engaged with everything that's around him, because he's got so much that he like owns, and he does a bunch of unboxings that I really enjoy. And yeah, I really do highly recommend you guys go check out his channel. He also predominantly speaks Spanish, so there's a lot of his videos that he has subtitled, and he has the kind of things for a Spanish speaking audience as well as things for an English speaking audience, and I really enjoy that. As somebody who's Spanish myself, being able to watch his videos and not feel disconnected is really cool. But also I like the fact that he's doing videos like that, because you don't really see a lot of people doing that on YouTube, really, to be honest. Or at least none that I see. But on an overall level, guys, go check out Cinematic Tendencies. I highly recommend them. Now, to give you my final thoughts on this movie, yeah, I think that this is definitely one of the more forgettable ones in the franchise for me. On an overall level, again, there are things I enjoy visually about the film, and there are some solid kills in here. But the main character of this film, she's just kind of annoying. Again, you feel for her because of the fact that she was kind of raised and kind of her mom separates her from people. She's got this creepy therapist, and she doesn't really have a normal upbringing, so she can't really be a normal teenager. When she's invited by some other teenagers to go hang out and have a good time, her mom kind of treats her like shit about it, and some of these people kind of find her to be weird. In the midst of it, you have these just really, of course, sleazy and just kind of stupid characters. You have all these party animal teens that just want to get loaded, have sex, and just want to be high the entire time, and they're just there for Jason to kill them. And yeah, in a lot of ways, this is one that I would say for me, when I think of is, oh, just another Friday the 13th movie, but oh, it's that one that has superpowers. If I had to say anything that really makes this movie special for me on its own, on an overall level, would be the unmasking of Jason in this movie. Easily the coolest Jason face, I think, personally. Outside of the superpowers, I think Jason's face is easily the coolest it's ever been in this movie. I really, really enjoy the way that they did his makeup. I think the makeup effects on his face and the final climax with Jason in this film is really exciting. I really enjoy the way Jason looks. You know, we've seen him look different in each of the films. Sometimes he kind of looks like Sloth from the Goonies, and sometimes he just kind of looks like a decaying mess. And in this case, he just looks like this rampant zombie that just looks really cool. I just really, really enjoy it. I believe I put it in the thumbnail if I'm not mistaken, and I'll show it to you guys here if I haven't already. But yeah, I really, really thoroughly enjoy the way that Jason looks in this movie when he's unmasked, which makes for some really great moments. Like I said, as far as makeup and as far as the kills go and the special effects, I think there's some really, really solid moments in here. I really do enjoy the way this film is shot, and just visually, I think it's a fun movie in the franchise. However, the main characters are really forgettable. The main girl, I only ever think about her because she's the chick with superpowers, and I feel like with such an interesting premise, the fact that they never play off of it in the future films, and the fact that it's just kind of wrapped around a pretty awkward and just kind of not necessarily super likable character, I feel like they missed the mark a little bit. But there is things about this film, like I said, visually that I think are really cool, and Jason is always badass. And without a doubt, the dumbest thing in this movie has to be the very end, where the girl essentially resurrects her father. Yeah, her father who died when she was a young girl, essentially when she's fighting Jason, she is in a similar way, the way she resurrected Jason, is able to resurrect her father, and her, at least that's what I took from it. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, feel free to, you know, correct me. But yeah, once Jason is about to kill this girl, here comes her father busting out of a bridge under the water, that's over the water, I mean, and he just attacks over Jason, and he brings Jason down into the water, and that's essentially what happens. You know, like her dad comes to save the day, but her dad's been underwater and dead for the longest time, and he comes back looking the exact same. He looks exactly the same way that he did when he went under the water. And if you guys know anything about the behind the scenes of this film, they actually did film stuff or had makeup done where the dad was a little bit more zombified, and they chose against that. I don't know the exact reasoning that they chose against that, but yeah, I guess they thought it would be better to have him look as if he never decayed, as if his body had been completely, perfectly encapsulated underwater. Makes no sense when you really think about it. So that's definitely got to be the dumbest thing about this movie. I think that they could have done something cooler with this chick who has superpowers, that she could have used them to defeat Jason, and it would have been cool to almost see her character kind of become a stronger character in the next films. But because of the fact that she just stays as this awkward character in this film, and they never play off of her or anything with superpowers ever again in the future films, I mean, it's just kind of like just a weird installment in the franchise. But I guess, you know, the superpower thing, the really cool Jason like look when he takes the mask off, you know, the resurrected dad from the water, I guess it gives it its own unique feel and vibe and story. But yeah, I think that this is one of the more forgettable ones in the full lineup, especially if you're binging them all, because they can kind of feel like the same movie, which they practically are. I watched them all back to back, and when you watch them, for the most part, they're all essentially the same movie with small little differences and these big standout moments. Some are goofier than others, some are a little bit more serious. But upon rewatch, yeah, this was definitely one that kind of, outside of the superpowers and the things I mentioned, definitely just kind of feels like one of the more forgettable ones. But yeah, guys, that's just my thoughts. Maybe you love this movie, maybe you hate this movie. I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say, so leave your comments down below. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed this video. I appreciate you guys for watching at any time that you can. Again, go down to the description box and give some love to Cinematic Tendencies. Let him know that I sent you to his channel. And as usual, guys, I will see each and every single one of you in the next video. Bye-bye.